These are the families that make you glad for the ones you have. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 most dysfunctional cartoon families on television.
Why, you little...
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at those animated small-screen families who struggle to maintain amiable relationships with one another. Since we'll also be talking about new additions to some of these families that occur later in the series, there are some minor spoilers ahead.
Mother!
Oh, come on, son.
What?
Nikolai.
Why did he just call me son?
Nikolai.
What is this?
You mean, besides incredibly awkward?
Number 10, the Belchers, Bob's Burgers.
Like some people. You think I'm a bad kisser?
No.
Oh yeah, well how about this?
Oh.
In a TV landscape saturated with unique cartoon families, the Belchers managed to stand out as one of the most eccentric.
Who's farting?
It's Jane's sound effects thing.
I thought that made you sound like a robot.
It does robot voice.
It seems to be in the nature of the children to cause problems for the family, particularly Louise, who appears even to take pleasure in doing so.
This is Louise, your daughter.
Yes, Louise. What?
I'm sorry that I told everyone that we make burgers from human remains.
None of the family members seem to understand the others, which is at the root of most of their hilarious conflicts.
What kind of a maniac wakes up an hour early to write erotic fan fiction?
Many residents of the unnamed town prefer to avoid them, because their tornado of shenanigans often sweeps up everybody around them. We couldn't imagine having to deal with the problems that they present to their father Bob, who's also the straight-laced protagonist.
All right, listen. You're my children, and I love you, but you're all terrible at what you do.
Number 9, the Pickles, Rugrats. At only 1 year of age, Tommy found his mortal enemy in his cousin Angelica. There's also no love lost between their fathers, brothers Stu and Drew.
Please, you two.
He started it.
Did not.
Did too.
Did not.
Zip it, the both of you!
Tommy's penchant for misguided adventures often causes all of the baby's parents to scramble to keep them safe, but Stu and Dee Dee are always the most put upon.
Don't mind Howard, Dee Dee. He's just a little frazzed on account of all these kids.
Actually,
I mean, the twins are enough of an armload, and today we got little Chuckster.
Not to mention Grandpa Lou, who isn't the most attentive babysitter.
You don't want any of that. Yucko. What you want is some of the... I see your point.
Even little Dell proved to be a troublemaker when he became the newest Pickles. Obviously, any family that has to deal with a group of babies will have some trouble, but no children seem to be quite as troublesome as these Rugrats.
eat that dog food will turn into dogs.
Number 8, the Turner FairywinkleCosma family, the Fairly Odd Parents.
Wands and rings, floaty crowny thing.
Timmy Turner was so depressed, he was awarded Cosmo and Wanda, two fairy godparents who could grant his every wish.
No idea how hard it is to be a kid.
Yeah, having us grant your every wish all day long must really take a toll on your nerves.
However, they brought their own dysfunction with them. Both are very loving, but Cosmo is hilariously stupid, while Wanda has a bit of a temper.
Well, they are only human.
You're right.
As for his real parents, well, they allow TV's most evil babysitter to watch Timmy. Enough said.
Bye, school! Have a nice day at Timmy!
In later seasons, the family has grown to include Baby Poof and Sparky, a fairy dog, both of whom also manage to contribute quite a bit of trouble to the family. But this large and complicated family loves one another immensely at the end of the day.
I like it. I like you. I like everything. I like this chew toy.
Number 7, the Ventures, the Venture Brothers. Heavily inspired by characters from Johnny Quest, the family consists of Dr. Thaddeus Venture, an insecure and moderately successful mad scientist, as well as his titular sons, Hank and Dean, who serve as each other's foils.
Which one of us, Pop? Well, I haven't decided yet.
Thaddeus doesn't hesitate to show favoritism to Dean, and seems to have no problem replacing his sons with clones when they inevitably die on adventures.
Take a look around the cockpit, Doc. You forget something? travel bingo?
Try your son, Doc.
His failure in relation to his father is arguably the driving force for most of the family's issues, as his obsession over being successful often pushes him and his sons to their very limits.
I'm not just a super scientist, I'm Rusty Venture. You think they're gonna kidnap all those schlubs and not me?
I'm just saying.
Number 6. The Hills, King of the Hill. The Hills are a typical middle-class American family, but that doesn't mean they aren't immune to defective familial relationships.
So you ready to kick some wildcat butt, Bobby?
Okay.
Hank, the father, is a product of a bygone era and has trouble adjusting to unfamiliar situations, which are aplenty. His personality often conflicts with that of his son, the adolescent Bobby, who prides himself on being artful rather than athletic.
Get out of my house. My boy ain't much, but he's all I got.
Peggy manages to be more level-headed than the men in her family, but every so often she gets a little crazy herself.
I don't see any problems with your feet, Mrs. Hill. They're perfectly healthy.
Very good. Now, what I would like is for you to smash them with a hammer and then reset them until they're a size 5.
I'm sorry. We don't do that.
The show prides itself on being a slice-of-life portrayal of an average American family, but truth be told, the average American family isn't without its own degree of dysfunction.
Oh, hey, son.
You guys were talking about money, weren't you?
No.
Number 5. The ArcherKane Family. Archer.
What is the point of these simulations?
Crenshaw's arousal?
If you don't take them seriously.
How can I?
From the first episode, it was clear that Archer's most complicated relationships were with his controlling mother, Mallory, and on-again, off-again girlfriend, Lana.
No, baby, don't answer that.
I have to. Sorry, it's Mother. Mother, hey.
I cannot believe you.
Just a second. No, turn it on. I can do both.
These relationships grew exponentially more complicated when Lana became pregnant with Archer's child. Lana may be one of the show's saner characters, but combining these two families was probably a poor decision.
No. Everything's all right. Here.
No two members of this family are able to hold a conversation without some serious snarkiness rearing its head.
Sterling, I don't need thanks. That's what makes me such a wonderful mother.
Are you kidding?
Don't be shitty. Can't we just enjoy the moment?
Yeah, how could we not?
It's also worth noting that Archer tried to have a threesome with Lana's parents, which is just one of the many ridiculous moments that exemplify this non-nuclear family.
You didn't make eye contact, with me during... Did I misread the...
Number 4. The Smiths. Rick and Morty.
I'm a pickle! I'm Pickle Rick!
We can all relate to having an alcoholic, dimension-traveling, nihilistic grandpa, right? The cast of Rick and Morty has been able to resonate with audiences not only due to the family's hilarious quirks, but also due to their humanity and complexities.
Oh, I think this pickle incident is a better path than any other to the heart of your family's dysfunction.
At the center of the family is the conflict of Rick's pessimistic ideology with the more optimistic views of the others, which often strains familial relationships.
You show us your concept of good TV, and we'll crap all over that.
I thought you'd never ask.
Despite being an outlandish sci-fi outing, the Smiths' dysfunction resonates on an emotional level, balancing the intelligently ridiculous comedy with some surprisingly affecting quiet moments.
Wobble gobble up ups! Right? See you next week, everybody.
I don't get it.
Number 3. The Smiths. American Dad.
You see, Stan, our family's drifting apart.
All right, Francine, just relax. I know exactly what we need. It's time for a Smith family vacation.
The Smiths may be the most collectively sociopathic family on this list. An uncompromisingly conservative father oversees, or at least tries to oversee, a family of an off-the-wall mother, nerdy son, liberal stoner daughter, talking goldfish, and a psychotic pansexual alien.
Well, if you truly are a ghost whisperer, then you'll let me talk to my dead wife.
Pairing any of these characters together always results in comic gold, with each having huge and distinct personalities. Though there's usually a lesson to be learned by the end of most episodes, they seem to be quickly forgotten as these crazies will turn on each other at the drop of a hat, often severely injuring each other.
Because you are an ass family. If someone asked me who lived in this house, I'd say the asses, and I'd be right.
Just to drive the point home, Stan's father eventually takes up the mantle of Krampus, the Christmas demon.
Don't forget he also murdered Grandpa, and now Grandpa is Krampus.
And if it's not Santa, it's something else.
No one's even mentioning the time I wished you all away and got a better family.
What? Huh?
Sorry, what?
Number 2, The Griffins, Family Guy.
But where are those good old-fashioned values on which we used to rely?
It goes without saying that Seth MacFarlane's dark brand of humor doesn't ever result in functional families.
We now go live to Ollie Williams recapping the events of the last episode of Family Guy. What happened last time, Ollie?
Stewie killed Lois!
Then what?
Peter got blamed!
Then what?
Peter went to court!
Then what?
Lois came back!
Ow.
Wasn't really dead!
Thanks, Ollie. And now part 2.
Put the 6 Griffins in a room together and there's sure to be no shortage of conflict. It's a wonder Peter and Lois's marriage has managed to survive all of his absurd antics.
It's enormous. Lois, this is probably a terrible time to remember this, but I think I might have left the weed whacker on.
The most dynamic relationship, though, is between best friends and occasional enemies, baby Stewie and family dog Brian.
Stewie, get down before you hurt yourself.
Shut up! You're not my mother!
Good God, are you all right? Fine, why do you ask?
Their dysfunction has been providing us with consistent laughs for over a decade. And that's not even mentioning the way the family treats Meg. But you can't really blame them because, it's Meg?
I got a makeover, Dad! Don't I look great?
Oh, Meg, honey, I always thought you were beautiful just the way
Before we get to our top pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Yeah, Dad! You're both drunk pieces of shit! Both of you sit the down!
You know, I was beautiful before I got pregnant.
I know.
You ruined me, Bojack.
You can still redeem yourself.
The kind of redemption she offers is not for you.
Why don't you let him decide, Uncle?
Number 1, The Simpsons. The Simpsons. It was a tough choice between the Griffins and the Simpsons, but we couldn't ignore the family that was the precursor to every other one on this list.
You tried your best, and you failed miserably. The lesson is, never try.
Homer is an infamous imbecile. Bart is an unscrupulous troublemaker. Lisa is smart but a know-it-all. Marge is a neurotic worrywart, and baby Maggie sometimes shoots people.
Besides, she didn't mean it. It was an accident.
They proved controversial when they first premiered, since it was one of the darkest TV depictions of an American family to that point. As it turns out, it's this very brand that made the Yellow family one of the most enduring pop culture images of all time.
Hey, Marge! Isn't it great being married to someone who's recklessly impulsive?
Actually, it's aged me horribly.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.